Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto Anime episode review. This one's going to be for episode 67, which is called ChoCho Super Mode. And I think it's the first of a 2 or 3 part arc involving ChoCho and these movie stars. And I think, given that I wasn't overly excited for this episode going into it, I was expecting this to be complete filler, borderline throwaway. It actually, I think, vastly exceeded my expectations. I thought it was actually much better than I really thought it could be going in, and it's because I actually feel like they're sort of giving ChoCho a bit of a character arc here, giving her, I think, a proper focus where it's not just a case of like the character is on screen, and because the character is on screen we're sort of treating it as development. No, it actually feels like we're really getting to know her a bit better. They're using the scenes that she's in to actually, introduce us to kind of different aspects to her character, and in this case play up like, okay, here is the fact that she hasn't perfected but knows how to use the kind of Akimichi clan kind of butterfly mode technique, where obviously it kind of burns up the calories and they go thin. Choji went thin. Here we see ChoCho kind of going all thin, and basically, like, the plot of the episode is that she shows it off to Sarada. So when she goes on the mission to kind of help the actors, she doesn't know going into the mission that it's going to be her favorite actor, but it ends up being that way. And the main issue is that she ends up sort of acting differently around him, and sort of being like the perfect person basically to him, doing everything he needs, and he kind of ends up impressing, she ends up impressing him. And she kind of feels that it's mainly because of like the way she looks, whereas I think it's more of her kind of personality that the actor sort of like seems to lean towards. And we're dealing with this idea of like she's sort of staying in her kind of thin state by, I think, using the butterfly mode technique to kind of shrink down every time she can. And they're playing up the idea of like, suddenly this character who usually is completely comfortable in her own skin the way that she is, and we have like characters like Sarada especially, like, really appreciates and kind of acknowledges that aspect of her character, that she kind of completely owns, kind of being a bit of a kind of chubby character, as I think Inojin is the one who kind of calls her chub sometimes. In that she's still sort of acting like normal ChoCho around like the rest of her kind of friends, but she usually acts that way in her sort of normal mode. So it's interesting that they're playing up on that, and especially going to the next episode where she is eventually, by the end of the episode, drafted in as the sort of fill-in actor for like a role in the episode, and she's meant to be involved in a kissing scene apparently with that actor. It's going to be really interesting to see, I suppose, how they do the full-on reveal, because they kind of set it up that like, oh, she feels that she's going to have to stay in this mode forever because he likes her now, and he likes her when she uses the butterfly mode, but he's never seen her as she, I suppose, normally is, naturally. So it'll be a bit of an arc to see if there is something more to the actor. I think Tomura is his name, and then Ashina, I think, is the female actress, to see how they, like, is there more to this death threat than I suppose meets the eye, is I suppose the plot that we're really dealing with here. They don't go into it too much, and the main action scene is that this ninja comes in and destroys some of the set. One of the kind of actresses is injured, and that's why ChoCho has to come and play. And now it seemed like ultimately the character, the ninja that came in, escaped fairly comfortably. I don't know if they're really establishing how powerful this character is, because I think the impression I got was that if ChoCho had just stuck to using the expansion jutsu punch, she would have like nailed the guy and probably KO'd him. But she went for a different move, switched at the last second, and he was able to get away. What else is there going on here? Like, they're saying like, okay, the actors have received a death threat about the romance that is actually happening in this show between these two characters, and because of that, they hired the ninjas to keep them safe during the filming of like the final, I think, 2 episodes or something like that is the idea. And like, obviously, okay, a death threat, so they're just being cautious here. Their producer is doing this for them, but who is the person behind the death threat? Because I think when they initially did it, I was kind of like, this is kind of a filler episode, so I was kind of thinking, like, is this ChoCho? Has ChoCho done some sort of a, like, jokey death threat type thing here? And they're going to just suddenly reveal at the end of the episode that it was just ChoCho being, like, a crazy fan. But then it was very clear that they weren't going in that direction, and that ChoCho's actually getting a bit of a kind of character arc here, where they're really using the butterfly technique and what it does to kind of give her an arc. I'm kind of wondering, like, who else could it be? Like, is it just going to be this random reveal at the end that it was maybe one of the other, like, you know, characters in the village, just who happens to be a big fan of this show? Or is it something with the actors trying to do something or other? That's what I'm not overly sure about, because I don't feel like we've gotten enough character focus, I suppose, on the two characters, in that Ashina off screen is just, you know, your typical kind of movie star, kind of demanding everything, not really being particularly nice to anyone. Tomura seems more like actually nice to everyone about it. You know, still a movie star, but much more nicer, much more approachable. So is there anything actually going on with them? And I suppose the question really is, like, why do they seem to think this death threat, is big enough that it warrants hiring like 2 whole squads of ninjas to look after it? That's the big question here. So I don't think it's going to be like an overly serious arc or anything like that, but it's solid enough that I can like be like, okay, I'm actually fine with the show taking a break from like not going directly into the next canon stuff and telling us these stories, because if they spend the next like 10-15 episodes just giving us like character arcs like this for most of the other minor characters, I'm actually going to be okay with that. If they keep them on this sort of level where it's not just here's a random mission that kind of happens to involve this character, once they move in the direction of more actually developing the characters, I'm actually all for it. In that, like, I'd like to see Sumire be on a mission with like her team and maybe give her a little bit of a focus, doing something else, and so on. I'd like to see like Denki, Metal Lee, and Iwabe, like them have a mission, and maybe Metal Lee gets the focus in an episode around about something or other. That was good. Other parts of this episode I liked was that I did like the initial training sequence at the start with Choji kind of teaching her that he did the kind of rolling boulder jutsu. He then did the butterfly jutsu himself, and he's obviously an expert at it, showing you just how powerful that technique is, that he was just able to completely shatter that giant rock. Then the other scene in the episode I really liked was the ChoCho and Sarada scene, and I think it really got across how kind of nicely done their friendship is, that they really do have this dynamic of like, yeah, they are kind of close friends within the group, kind of across teams. They don't get to interact all that much because they're on separate teams, but that when they're just hanging out normally, they do tend to hang out with each other, and they have this dynamic where just the simple things like the chips, the bag of kind of crisps chips, mean a lot to ChoCho. So her just being very willing to give them to Sarada whenever something's up is something that shows how kind of close like ChoCho sees Sarada. And, you know, Sarada, I suppose, beginning to see that, oh, like, ChoCho is acting differently in all of this. This is not like her at all. She's usually so confident either way, and now she's feeling this need to be in her kind of thin post-butterfly mode the whole time because of this actor. That's not like her, and I got the impression that kind of Sarada's monitoring the situation to see, like, is this something serious that she's going to have to step in and help her with, or what? It's pretty well done, I think, so far. But yeah, I think that's about all there really is to this. I hope it's not too many episodes. I hope it doesn't go beyond 3, because I don't think the core plot is that interesting. But if there's a little bit of a twist across, 2-3 episodes on this one, and We get a bit more ChoCho. I'm perfectly for this being a, fully acceptable small little arc of the show. So yeah, not much else to say, but in the comments let me know what your thoughts were on the episode. Where do you think the plot is going? Do you think it's going to be some sort of a twist with the two actors and that maybe they've actually done something? Are they actually ninjas but are also acting as ninjas and there's something else going on? Or what? Yeah, that's my thoughts on the episode. In the comments let me know what you think. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching and bye.